Donald Trump has done it. In an announcement earlier this morning, Trump has announced he will take control of the D.C. police and deploy the National Guard, invoking the Home Rule Act. This is what is being described as the federalization of D.C. Now, the important thing to understand is that D.C. is already the federal government. But they did this law, I think it was in the 70s, where they basically said, you live in D.C., you're going to have your own government, you're going to vote for a mayor, the police will be under civilian control in that context. I think this was a mistake. The federal jurisdiction of D.C. was meant to create a space where government workers would be free from state influence. Instead, it's turned into a microstate. And because of this large population, you now have demands for statehood, which defies the purpose of Washington, D.C. Trump says over the weekend, the homeless got to go, the criminals can stay because you will stay in jail, but enough is enough. Now, Democrats have responded to this by saying Trump is lying. Crime is at a 30-year low in D.C. Well, I got news for you. We live in the D.C. metro effectively, and the metropolitan area takes about an hour and a half to drive into D.C., depending on which part of D.C., I guess. If you want to cross the river, it might take a little longer, but sure, about an hour and a half away. So we're not the closest, but we go to D.C. frequently, and we were there over the past several weekends doing live shows. There are homeless tents everywhere, not just near construction sites, not under bridges, no, quite literally in the middle of the city. Not far from the venue we were doing our show at, D.C. Comedy Loft. Shout out, it was awesome. There are tents just in the middle of the intersection. Like there are intersections that have roundabouts, or I don't know, bridges. I guess the one road goes under, one road goes over. So it's interesting how they do it. There's just homeless tents lining the sidewalk in the middle of town. Other parts of the city, you see the exact same thing. Going to a coffee shop, homeless camps everywhere. This isn't just happening in D.C. It's happening all over the place. But Donald Trump says enough. It's time to clean this city up. And you know what? I am here for it. So before we get started, my friends, I want to give a shout out to Steven Crowder and the Mug Club. Welcome to your Rumble morning lineup. Steven, he's got a great show, Louder with Crowder, sending all of those great viewers from the Mug Club. I appreciate you guys coming and watching the noon hour on Rumble Live. Of course, I am Tim Pool, your host. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. We do have a great sponsor. It is American Financing, my friends. What if you could delay your next two mortgage payments? That's right. Imagine putting those two payments in your pocket and finally getting a little breathing room. It's possible when you call American Financing today. If you're feeling stretched by everyday expenses, groceries, gas bills piling up, you're not alone. Most Americans are putting these expenses on credit cards, and there doesn't seem to be a way out. American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to pay off that debt. You need to call American Financing today before you get to a point where you can't make those payments. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you restructure their loans and consolidate debt, all without upfront fees. And their customers are saving an average of $800 a month. It's like a $10,000 raise. It's fast, it's simple, and it could save your budget this summer. So call now before it's too late. That's 866-890-7811. Once again, that's 866-890-7811. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Tim. My friends, I also want to shout out the Timcast.com Discord server. The AI takeover is actually rather terrifying. I've been dealing with it myself, where you get an order wrong, or I should say a restaurant gets your order wrong, or you've got some charge on your account that you didn't make, and there's no humans to resolve it. All just AI robots that can't navigate these systems. The answer to this, the counter-revolution, is community. We have to figure out how to make sure the bonds of human connection do not break as they try to automate everything and population declines. It's one of the reasons we have the Timcast Discord. You go to timcast.com, you click join us, you get in the Discord right there, and there's tens of thousands of people hanging out, having parties, having meetups, running their own content, creating their own shows, and keeping those bonds connected despite the evolution of the internet and the decentralization of media. They have live meetups. We've done, we went to one of the parties with the guys. Shout out to the crew from the Discord who are putting on these events. We want you to join and help. It helps make the show possible when you're a member, and we hope to foment a larger community of people who can keep those bonds connected, my friends. Let's jump to the news. Smash that like button. Share the show right now. Everybody watching, take the URL, post it across the board. Rumble number one. Let's go. Live updates. Trump to deploy National Guard and federalize D.C. police in crime-fighting effort. Let me play the clip for you, my friends. Let's roll.
And we're here for a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States. I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth. Much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. Yeah.
Bravo. I'm here for it. I agree with it. Like I said, we go to D.C. almost fairly often. Couple times a week, probably, because it's the city, you know what I mean? There are smaller towns in the surrounding area. There's, Bethesda, which is basically part of the metro, and there's Frederick. We go to the big city, we go to D.C. That's the big metro in our area. And yeah, there's crime. You can see it. What's fascinating is there's a place called National Harbor where they put up this MGM casino, which is one of the highest grossing, if not the highest grossing casino in the country. Let me tell you guys, I know you don't ignore the casino thing. This is supposed to be a nice area in Maryland, just south of D.C. And every other week there's a stabbing and a robbery, some kind of theft. People are scared to park their cars there. And it's supposed to be a nice area. So what the heck is going on? I don't see why there's a problem with this. Some people are saying, police, state, take it. What? So you've got homeless camps everywhere. The National Guard are going to come out and they're going to make sure that there's no violent crime and rampant crime. They're not going to be shaking anybody down. The police already exist. Just because Trump is in command doesn't mean it's a police state takeover. This is literally Trump just saying, we will have command of the police. The police already exist. He's going to tell them to stop crime. Crime is happening. I see this as an overall win. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see what the end result is going to be. But I'm hoping that our capital gets cleaned up. Now, some have made the argument that we should actually cede back the territories taken from Maryland so that D.C. actually is only a couple blocks. I agree with that as well. The argument is the federal government should have jurisdiction over the buildings of the federal government and be free from state control. The reason D.C. was created was because at the founding of this nation, they were trying to figure out where to put the capital. The concern was any state that the capital would be in would be under undue pressure from that state to give preferential treatment to that state's whims. So they said, let's carve off a piece of Maryland and we'll make this special jurisdiction just for the federal government. You know what? Nobody was supposed to live there. It was not supposed to be a place that people lived and operated like a city. And now you've got people in D.C. arguing they should get senators or members of Congress. I say no. It's a federal jurisdiction that's not supposed to have residents. It's supposed to be an isolated district for government operation. But it's too big. It's too big. Now, the interesting thing is that Donald Trump has said crime is it's high. Crime's very high. It is. Democrats are lying. I want to show you the statement Trump made real quick before we get into the response from the liberals, because this was from just the other day. Trump tells homeless they're being booted from D.C. immediately as part of his crime crackdown. We want our capital back. Indeed. He said, let's pull this one up. Here we go. Let's see if we can zoom in on this bad boy. We're having a news conference tomorrow in the White House. I'm going to make our capital safer and more beautiful than it ever was before. The homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far from the Capitol. The criminals, you don't have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong. It's all going to happen very fast, just like the border. We went from millions pouring in to zero in the last few months. This will be easier. Be prepared. There will be no Mr. Nice Guy. We want our capital back. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Take a look at these images he's posted. This is not even the worst of it. I'm actually offended that Trump did not actually show the reality of what was going on the ground. They're showing tents in the grass. Okay, that's a problem. And what they're not showing you is there are tents on the sidewalk next to businesses and buildings. You walk past them. It's insane. Now, we did this show the other day, the Culture War Live, and I said, I don't care what your solution is, be it liberal or conservative, whatever it might be. Why isn't the D.C. government helping or removing these people? Pick one. Say, get them out. You can't sleep on the streets like this in tents. Or say, we're going to find a place for you to live. You shouldn't be sleeping on the street in tents. They do nothing. Well, this is not how our city should be. Shantytown tent cities. So Trump said it. We will give you places to stay just far away, not here. I respect it. That's a middle-of-the-road approach. Now, everyone's favorite failed politician, Hillary Clinton's chimed in. She says, as you listen to an unhinged Trump try to justify deploying the National Guard to D.C., here's the reality. Violent crime in D.C. is at a 30-year low. Really? Wow. Looks like Hillary's got your number, Donald Trump. You thought you could pull a fast one on us? That's right. The DOJ on January 3rd, under President Joe Biden, issued this statement. Total violent crime for 24 in the District of Columbia is down 35% from 2023, and it's the lowest it's been in over 30 years, according to data collected by the Metro Police Department, announced by the U.S. Attorney Matthew M. Graves. A breakdown of the data is available here. In addition to the overall violent crime reduction, homicides are down 32, robberies are down 39, armed carjackings are down 53, assaults with dangerous weapon down 27 compared to 2023. With the district reporting the fewest assaults with dangerous weapons and burglaries over 30 years. Wow. Trump is cooked. Can you believe that Donald Trump would actually deploy the National Guard and federalize the police when crime is at a 30... Oh, wait. What's this? From NBC Washington, D.C. police commander suspended, accused of changing crime stats. Well, hold on. This is from 3 weeks ago? Wait a minute. When did Hillary Clinton tweet this? Hillary Clinton tweeted this today at 10:30 a.m. Retweeting this from January 3rd. Violent crime hitting a 30-year low. But hold on. Couldn't Hillary have known about this story from 3 weeks ago? That a police commander in D.C. was flubbing the numbers and lowering the crime stats to make it look good? Hillary? Lying? I can't believe it. Okay, you get it. I'll drop the bit. Of course Hillary was lying. Of course. We witnessed the crime. We see the news reports. We can see the tent cities. And you have the gall to tell me that it's down? You want to know what gets real scary? Cell phone phenomena that I've talked about quite a bit. Murders dropped dramatically after 2008. Indeed. How could that be, though? What changed? Some people said, we're a more evolved people. We're not murdering each other anymore. No, it's just that after the advent of the ubiquitous cell phone, if you got stabbed, you could call 911. That's it. In the mid 2000s, as cell phones started to become ubiquitous, murder started to drop. People were still attempting the murders. People were still committing violent assaults. But back in the day, let's say 1990, if you got stabbed in the middle of the street by some mugger who took your wallet, someone's going to run and find a phone. That was it. Someone would say, stay right here. I'll try and find a phone. When I was 16, I was standing on the corner of 63rd and Narragansett in Chicago. And I watched an old lady flip onto her back and start convulsing. And I admit, I froze. I looked around. I didn't know what to do. And then, after about 5 seconds, I ran into the bank and yelled, call 911. And it's kind of a wild experience. If I had a cell phone, I'd have just flipped it over and dialed 911 myself and say, there's a lady having a seizure. She's an old lady. I hope she was all right. People rushed to her aid. But back then, all I could do was run into a building and say, get the phone. Murder has gone down because now when that happens, you can just call on the phone. Understanding that technology has reduced the crime rate as it pertains to murder. It's an interesting thought. Humans are no less violent. We've just eliminated murder by saving more lives. It's great, right? Considering that, when you see that crime is actually up in D.C., it's actually worrying because the people there are becoming more violent. Take a look at this story from NBC Washington. The D.C. police commander is under investigation for allegedly making changes to crime stats in his district. The Metropolitan Police Department confirmed Michael Pulliam was placed on paid administrative leave in mid-May. This happened just a week after Pulliam filed an equal employment opportunity complaint against an assistant chief in the police union, accused the department of deliberately falsifying crime data, according to 3 law enforcement sources familiar with the complaint. The union claims police supervisors in the department manipulate crime data to make it appear violent crime has fallen considerably compared to last year. Whoa. Pulliam, the former commander of the 3rd District that patrols Adams and Morgan and Columbia Heights, was placed on leave with pay and told he was under investigation for questionable changes to crime data. 5 law enforcement sources familiar told News 4. That came about a week after he filed a complaint against Executive Assistant Chief of Police Andre Wright, according to 3 law enforcement sources familiar with the complaint. News 4 reached out to Pulliam for comment. He denied the allegations against him and referred us to the public information officer. Union officials said there is a larger trend of manipulating crime stats. Now, I don't know who did what. Who's accusing who of doing what? It sounds convoluted. A commander, the union saying the commander, the high-ups are manipulating data to make it look like crime has fallen considerably compared to last year. Just like that statement. Hillary Clinton knows this, that there's an ongoing claim and investigation. This is weird, dirty politics. Who do you trust? Democrats are going to trust. They're going to say when Biden was in, crime was down. Trump is lying and claiming crime is up so he can justify federalization. I don't believe it. I can only tell you the stories, man. The things I've heard about what goes on in D.C. with the crime, with the homelessness. Trump does not need an excuse. Trump need only look around. The Democrats do need an excuse. It's not just in D.C. Take a look at this from the New York Post. Starbucks shuts down another San Fran cafe, closing more than a dozen locations in the city over the past 2 years. Crime is going up everywhere, and they're telling us it's going down. I don't believe it. I saw this post. One of my lib friends posted it. They said, imagine thinking that all the journalists and all the politicians and all the police are lying to you, and it's Trump, the bankrupt con man, who's telling you the truth. And I'm like, I don't need to believe that Donald Trump is telling me the truth on everything. I honestly don't care. I can see it with my own eyes. It is strange to me that we watch Walgreens, Target, Starbucks shutting down their stores, CVS, and they're saying because of the crime. How many videos have you seen of a supermarket where everything's locked behind a wall. There was one video that went viral where the aisles in the store were just vinyl. It was a vinyl print, and the items were printed on a sheet. And you'd walk up to it, take a picture of it, go up and ask for the item. In Chicago, I think it's Walgreens. You walk in the store, there's no products anywhere. There's kiosks. And you type in the kiosk what you want. An employee, after you pay, will bring it to you because crime has gotten so incredibly bad. But these people believe every lie from every politician. It is insane. Now, it's somewhat unrelated, but I want to give this shout out. Harry Enton admits Trump has the best political instincts he's ever seen. And this had more to do with the Epstein files and stuff like this, but Trump targets these stories and these issues that regular people deeply care about. He knows what he is talking about. And now, Trump has also announced he wants to end no cash bail across the country. He says, we're going to change no cash bail. We're going to change the statute and get rid of some of the other things. I think they might have a clip here. Let's see if they have the clip on the article. I disagree with this. I think cash bail is unconstitutional, and I think Trump is wrong on the issue, but I understand why he's doing it, and that's why I pointed out his instincts are on point. But the reason why I think he's wrong is that you've got a system in place that was supposed to be a judge would determine whether you were a threat to your community, and you'd get a bond hearing, you'd get a bail hearing. The problem with cash bail now is it's impossible to have functional hearings because there's too much going through the system. The argument that we would defer to punishment is a problem. There are many people that will be accused of a crime and innocent of that crime. It happens. This is why we have a court system. They won't be able to go before a judge in a timely manner, so they might 3, 4, 5 days in jail before they can even get a bond hearing. Then the judge will say $500 or $5,000, depending on the state you're in. Some do a 10% requirement where they say $5,000, you only got to pay $500. Some states have bail bondsmen, but you might be like, I can't afford it, I don't have the money. And you're innocent. You miss work. Your apartment starts falling apart. You can't pay your rent. This is bad for our civilization. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to go extreme on the issue of never having cash bail. I'm saying we need reform in the bond system to make sure we figure this out. Hey, if you've been arrested 3 times, even if you're found not guilty each time, yeah, you're not going to get your bond back. You keep getting arrested for some reason. But if it's a first offense or something like this, we need to figure this out better. I think it's probably better just to say we'll put you on monitor. Like we'll put you on, we'll give you an ankle monitor or something. And then if you violate it, you go to jail. Like you get a freebie or something. But the reason why Trump is pushing this is because people are sick of the violent crime. I'll tell you though, you don't want to live in a system where the police defer to punishment and the process is the punishment. Now we got this funny clip. Defiant L's pulled this from Bill Maher. George Will on Zohran Mamdani saying he wants him to win. Oh yeah, because then people will really learn their lesson. Check this out.
This must be horrible for a guy like you, who you spent your whole life talking about how government tries to do too much, which it does, and spends too much. And here you have Trump, who is the Republican, who is aggrandizing more power than anybody, as we just talked about. And on the other side, you have the guy running in New York, Mamdani, right? Okay, who's like a straight-up communist. I mean, he is. He talks about, the things that communists say. I mean, he wants free grocery stores.
He doesn't want free grocery stores. I'm not trying to defend the guy. He wants government-run grocery stores at cost, meaning you're still expected to pay for things, but good luck having any kind of market system when everyone's competing with a system that has free money from you at gunpoint.
Free buses.
I want him to win.
You want him to win?
Yeah. I think every 20 years or so.
Wait.
We need every 20 years or so, we need a conspicuous, confined experiment with socialism so we can crack it up again. Socialist slogan used to be, workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains. The new socialist slogan is, trust us, this time it won't be a mess. So, Yeah, when the post-war Labour government in Britain was about to get started, one of their leading lights was a socialist named Nurian Bevan. He said, what could go wrong? He said, we have a nation bedded on coal, surrounded by fish. It would take an organizational genius to have a shortage of either. In 3 years, they had a shortage of both. That's socialism.
So let me tell you, my friends. He says he wants Zoran Mamdani to win. I know. Ignorant as I, naive as I said something similar in the past, but I've come around. Why? Well, not so much on this issue particularly. I was saying, like, maybe we need socialists to actually work, win in New York so that they finally vote against it. And then I kind of realized they did it in Chicago and it failed. Oh, they did it in Portland. They did it in Seattle. Come on. It's not just those cities either. Socialists have been winning in many liberal jurisdictions, in Minneapolis. And what you end up with is an epidemic of socialism. He says every 20 or so years, they should win so we can crack it up again. Zoran Mamdani is going to win, but nobody learned their lesson and nobody cracked it up. Despite the fact that Brandon Johnson in Chicago's approval rating is around between depending on the poll, it could be high 10s, no joke, to maybe 30%. The city is run like crap. Everyone's unhappy. Everyone blames the mayor. That's what you get. Did anybody learn their lesson? Did New York learn their lesson? Nope. Did the media learn their lesson? Nope. So who's going to crack it up again? What, is Trump going to come and federalize the socialist cities? Maybe. They need it. I mean, San Francisco, like I already pointed out, shut down a dozen Starbucks because crime is rampant and people are disgusting. But unfortunately now, the reality is this. Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, post-liberals, whatever, need to start recognizing winning matters. And to sit back and say, I'm going to let the bad guys win because then people are going to realize why they're bad. There was an argument made by, who was it? Was it Rumsfeld? I can't remember. Project for a New American Century. You guys remember this one? PNAC, they called it, put out a report. I think it was in 2000. It might have been early 2001. Arguing that Americans needed a new Pearl Harbor type event to rally the country together. I think that I wasn't Rumsfeld who wrote that, but I think it was Rumsfeld who said this. And I could be wrong. I can't remember who said this. That every so often, was it McCain? Every so often, he argued we needed. This was a speech he gave. Terror attacks, so the American people could truly understand what they were being protected from. And that's insane. There's a point to be made there. Good times make weak men. The argument is that feminism, there's a man who built a fence around his home to protect his wife and children from wolves. One day, the wolf whispers to the woman, your man is oppressing you and keeping you trapped in this cage. So she tears the fences down and the wolf eats her. That's the parable or whatever. It's a modern one. The argument is that she doesn't know the threats she faces anymore because she's been coddled and protected for so long. She no longer knows of the threat that exists beyond the fences. And that's what people are arguing now about socialism and what's happening to these cities. But my friends, we can already see it. In all of these cities, the wolves are eating us alive and no one is doing anything to stop it. Say Trump. So the question then is, what do we do? Trump is taking command of D.C. where his authority lies. He can. But what about these other cities? That we don't know. I'm going to wrap it up there, my friends. We're going to be joined by, I think we've got Josh Hammer joining us. Let me make sure we've got everyone set. Okay, looks like we are good to go. And I want to make sure I get his bio for everybody. This will be at 4 p.m. at rumble.com/TimPool or youtube.com/Timcast. He's a new editor-at-large for Newsweek and the Article 3 Project. So we're going to talk to him not just about what's going on with the crime in D.C., but also Obergefell and the overturning of gay marriage that is coming. So again, 4 p.m. Up at those channels I mentioned. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Thanks for hanging out. Stay tuned, and we'll see you all in the next segment.